Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Chief Product Officer of Magic Leap, Omar Khan.
Good morning. It is an honor to be here with you at the Future Investment Initiative. I wish I had props like robots and stuff on stage, but we're going to chat a little bit about spatial computing. Magic Leap began with an idea that we wanted to bring the physical world and the digital world together. In the pursuit of that idea, we created a movement. We call that movement spatial computing. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you our company, our product, our platforms, and our solutions. I will share with you how it enables a giant step for humanity in all aspects of our lives. How we work, how we collaborate, how we play, and even how we're entertained. But let's take a look back. On January 1st, 1983, researchers began to assemble a network of networks that today became what we know as the modern internet. It was the development that shaped our destiny and forever changed our future. It created a paradigm shift in our lives from which there was no turning back. We can no longer imagine a world without the internet in our lives every single day. But now we split our time between two worlds. The digital world that is intermediated by the screens that dominate our lives and our attention, and the physical world that we fight to remain present within. Many of you are fighting this battle right now. Now, we begin the next evolution of the web, catalyzed by the rollout of powerful 5G networks all around the world. This new era, Web 3.0, is also known as the spatial web, where the physical world and digital world finally become one. And as 4G and smartphones did for Web 2.0, Magic Leap 1 and spatial computers and 5G will be the catalyst for Web 3.0 and the spatial web. Now, the dominant window into the spatial web will be wearable spatial computers. Our Magic Leap 1 is the most powerful and most advanced spatial computer in the world. It has the largest volume of view and is the only device in the market that works in harmony with the human eye-brain system, unlike VR devices like Oculus or mixed reality devices like the Microsoft HoloLens. Now, you may be asking, what does it mean to work in harmony with the human eye-brain system? As humans, we operate on a daily basis from right about here all the way to infinity. We break that down into about 3 zones: the near zone, the mid zone, and the far zone. And we're constantly going back and forth between those zones all the way throughout the day, just like I'm doing on stage and just like you're doing in the audience. Magic Leap is the only technology in the world that allows us to address all of those ranges, the near mid-range, the mid-range, and the far range, without creating physiological discomfort for the human body. That's what it means to be in harmony with the human eye-brain system. And at half the weight of the Microsoft HoloLens 2, which is their next generation product, we are well on our way to the goal of all-day, everyday use. For as long as we've interacted with the digital world, it's always been behind a screen. It's been behind a TV, it's been behind a PC, and it's been behind smartphones like this. Spatial computers will finally liberate us from these screens, and I'll finally be able to put away in my pocket. So what's so special about spatial computing? Well, unlike VR or virtual reality, it doesn't isolate us from the world around us. We know what's going on around us. And unlike augmented reality, it doesn't require you to hold up yet another screen in our lives. Spatial computers enable the digital content to live in the physical world just like you and I do. It's exciting. So who are spatial computers for? And what is spatial computing for? Well, first, spatial computing is for developers and creators whose sandbox and canvas just got infinitely bigger. They've been spending decades confining their idea and compromising their ideas into screens like these: smartphones, PCs, TVs. Their canvas is now the physical space where they ideated those ideas to naturally belong, like this ballroom, like their campuses. and eventually their cities and everything in between. Spatial computing is also for consumers who now live in a world of infinite possibilities. It'll revolutionize how they communicate, how they're productive, and how they're entertained while being free of all these screens in our lives. We imagine a world without screens very, very soon. Spatial computers are also for enterprises to engage their employees, their partners, and their customers. And as we would expect, enterprises are leading the way. We're working both internally at Magic Leap and externally with our partners to develop spatial computing solutions. And I'm excited to share our first generation of solutions with you, which include co-presence, spatial visualization, training and remote assistance, and location-based experiences. Now let's take a look a bit more closely. Our first platform, co-presence, enables the most vital use case on a daily basis, which is communication and collaboration. I can't imagine how an enterprise could function or be productive without their employees and their partners being able to communicate and collaborate on a daily basis. Well, our platform enables developers and content providers to enable those experiences with multi-person and multi-site capabilities. What does this mean? This allows people who are either physically co-present like we are, or digitally co-present on the other side of the world in Hong Kong or Florida, to be able to communicate and collaborate together just like if we were in the same room. So look at this picture behind me for a second. It's an educational environment. You see two professors, one physically present, another one digitally co-present. That professor may be in Riyadh, he may be in Hong Kong, somewhere else. You see students in the audience. Some are physically present, some are digitally co-present. And they're learning from virtual tools as well as physical tools, as well as things that digitally enhance physical tools. This is going to change how we learn, how we conduct design reviews, or brainstorming sessions. Let's look at a real-world example. BNP Paribas Real Estate in Paris, France, is already leveraging our co-presence platform to showcase residential and commercial property and investments to investors and lessors and lessees all around the world. So they have a new project going up outside of Paris, a green project. They want people to be able to view that project, look at parts of that project, and they don't even have to get on a plane. They can do it remotely from Hong Kong, from Tokyo, from New York, from Miami, without getting on a plane. It also reduces their carbon footprint. So it's a very exciting solution. Our next platform that we're building is spatial visualization. It enables complex data sets and models that today are confined to screens to be visualized in the physical environment at scale, or even greater than one-to-one scale. This allows for quick iterations and spatial insight-driven decision-making. So look at this example behind me. These are game developers developing a world for the physical world. Now, they can do this without being intermediated by a small screen. They can actually visualize their game in the physical world. They can iterate it before they ever release it to the world. It really changes their design cycle. Let's take another look at another real-world example. One speaker on stage yesterday talked about the automotive design cycle. It was an average of 6 years. And even Tesla, at best in class, is at 3 years. We can start to shorten this life cycle even more. Our partners at McLaren are already using our spatial visualization tools and spatial computing to visualize and iterate their designs at one-to-one scale. This saves them multiple cycles of expensive and time-consuming clay models. It's going to change the game for automotive manufacturers and many other industries. We've already seen augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR, make a difference in training. But spatial computing will allow us to take training to a completely new level. It enables us to learn and perfect in the environment where we actually need to perform those tasks. It allows us to become productive sooner, and allows the knowledge worker, a topic we've been talking about a lot over the last 3 days, to become more versatile and much more adaptive. We can also leverage the power of remote experts who can see what we see and guide us through a problem or a situation that we may have not encountered during training. It's extremely powerful, and let's take a look at an example. NASA is already using spatial computing to train astronauts right here on the ground on the equipment that they're going to interact with and have to maintain on the International Space Station. And soon we're excited, hopefully, that Magic Leap 1 and spatial computers of the future will make it into space. When that happens, these same astronauts, if they encounter something on the space station that they didn't train for on the ground, will be able to actually be able to call in an expert from the grounds or from right back here on the planet to be able to guide them through solving that problem in space. It's going to be super exciting. We're looking forward to that day. And finally, I'm excited to share with you location-based experiences. We call them LBXs. And we've been hosting tens of thousands of users and consumers in location-based experiences around the world. Our LBX platform enables content and IP owners to bring their experiences to life in curated physical spaces. This enables things like pop-up experiences, immersive experiences in different retail and physical footprints, and for destination owners like theme parks and museums to be able to refresh those experiences in a quickly and much more time-effective manner, or cost-effective manner. Take a look at the experience behind me. That's the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and that's the launch of Apollo 11. Imagine being able to be in the National Mall and be able to see at scale the launch of Apollo 11 that happened many, many decades ago with the same screens that they used in mission control operation. That's possible with our LBX platform today. So let's look at an example. HBO created a location-based experience earlier this year using spatial computer, where they brought the world of Game of Thrones to life in our physical world for the first time in location-based experiences to debut their first season earlier this year all over the US. It was super exciting and actually pretty scary at the same time. So how are we doing this? We're now building the platform to power these spatial realities. We call that platform Magicverse. Magicverse is our XR platform. What does it do? It enables developers and creators to seamlessly be able to create and publish their content and experiences to physical spaces for their users, their customers, their visitors, their employees, any constituent that they may want to share that with. And those people can either be present physically, like we are here today, they can be digitally co-present, or both. And those people will be able to discover and engage with those rich experiences using XR-compatible devices. So not just Magic Leap spatial computers, but iPhones, Android devices, tablets, PCs, and others using our platform. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. So let's talk about some of the tool sets. The Magicverse platform enables site owners to be able to build and maintain a dynamic digital twin of their physical spaces. That also includes hardware and software edge enablement to power those multi-user Magicverse use cases. Our Magicverse SDK, or Software Developer Toolset or Software Developer Kit, allows developers to create persistent and multi-user interactive content and be able to publish it to the digital twin to prepare it for the physical environment. Using our Magicverse site tools, developers and site owners can actually register that content. They can manage the permissions. This is really important. So you can manage who can see that content, who can discover it, and more importantly, who can't see it. So if you just want to share it with your family, you want to share it with your coworkers, you can manage those permissions. And then they'll be able to curate those experiences and those content layers for their visitors for a specific night. So if you ended up doing this in a stadium and you're changing from a football match to a concert the next day, you can just switch it over from a curation perspective for a completely different audience the next night. It's going to change the game for stadium owners as one example. So now the best window into the Magicverse will obviously be our spatial computers. But there are already billions of other windows in this world, and all of us are carrying one of them at least, if not two of them. I see many people still carrying 2 smartphones here at this conference. Smartphones, tablets, and PCs. Those platforms should be able to take part in these multi-user experiences that the Magicverse enables, and they will be able to using our Magicverse XR portal. They'll be able to discover the layers of the Magicverse and engage with them. Just like Google does with Google Maps, you can discover locations on multiple platforms and multiple devices, and that's exactly how Magicverse works as well. How are we going to scale? Well, the expansion of 5G networks and the 5G edge enables Magicverse sites and experiences to proliferate around the world in a much more scalable fashion. So together with our telco partners, such as AT&T, we will enable high bandwidth, multi-user, low latency Magicverse use cases, not just in the United States, but all over the world in 5G cities around the world through partnerships with leading telcos, just like we've done with NTT Docomo in Japan and others to be announced very, very soon. I'm excited to announce today that our first Magicverse SDK, or software developer kit, will be available in the first quarter of 2020. We're just a couple of months away from that. And it'll support our own operating system, Lumen, as well as existing third-party operating systems and platforms like iOS, Android, Unreal, and Unity. This reduces the friction for millions of developers around the planet to be able to develop content for Magicverse. It's really powerful for us, and we're excited about it. Well, you can see from my talk today, as well as just how we live our lives on a daily basis, that we no longer believe that reality is just the physical world, just like this operating room that just looks like a normal operating room on a daily basis. Our expectation of reality is actually the physical world with all the digital world and all the digital layers that actually enhance it that we need to interact with. This is the surgical room of the future, and we're working with a partner, Brain Lab, that you can see across the way that actually is doing this. So in this example, surgeons now have the ability to ensure better outcomes because they have 3D models of an MRI scan. They have remote experts that they may be able to consult with during the surgery from other parts of the world, the Mayo Clinic in Minneapolis, or the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, or anywhere else around the world. This really will revolutionize surgery and other types of outcomes in a much more positive way and change the face of healthcare, as one example. Well, spatial computing is ushering in a brand new economy that superpowers today's experience economy. So when you bring people to places, 5,000 of us came together here for FII. The economy, while rich, is still finite. Only 5,000 of us could come together here because of capacity and other reasons. Well, with our Magicverse XR platform, we'll be able to take experiences and content and places to people wherever and whenever they may be. And we call that an amplified economy, Economy X. So imagine next year, instead of 5,000 people, if this was a Magicverse site, 50,000 people could attend FII. It's going to be so exciting and so powerful. And Magic Leap 1, combined with the Magicverse platform, is the only platform that unlocks Economy X. For the first time, the future that we all imagine, the realities that we all imagine, the ideas that we imagine, that we talked about at the beginning of this conference, can finally become a reality, and that reality is just beginning. And we're excited to showcase some of the solutions that I talked about just a few minutes ago, just across the way in the marketplace. We look forward to hosting you there this afternoon, and thank you so much for having us at FII.